Okay, and welcome back to the workplace. I was going to say, welcome back to Waking the Dead. Anyway, welcome back to the workplace where we actually invite different professionals in their field of expertise to really share their lessons, insights, and what they do to hopefully inspire you. Wow, I am rhyming right now. But anyway, because, and again, I'm Mary Beth, and I'd like to introduce to you guys, if you just tuned in now, our special guest, Miss Yvette Tan. So thank you once again for joining us here in Global News Network.
Thank you again for inviting me. I'm having so much fun.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm actually enjoying the horror story. Actually, I could picture the what's that? San Juanico Bridge.
Yes.
Like if I were to film it, it would be like it's not yet pitch black, but it's like when the sun is going down and there are trees and there's like a bridge and it's kind of like dim light already. You're kind of dark. That's the image that stuck with me, and now I really want to read it. So anyway, what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is Miss Yvette Tan's profession. She is a freelance writer. She already she graduated from UP with a degree in film,
Yes.
and she also became a TV producer, segment producer of two other networks, TV networks. And she's also writing for Esquire, and she's going to be coming up with or writing for an fashion lifestyle show channel. So there's a lot to learn from her. And earlier on, she was already discussing about how she got, from there to here, which is graduating with a film degree and how she got into writing horror. So just a bit of recap. You used to write romance and fantasy, and now you stuck with horror.
Yes.
Why? Why the shift?
I have no idea. It's just what comes to me now, I guess. But one of my friends, who's also a writer, he wrote. I think he reviewed one of my stories. He reviewed my book, I think, and he mentioned that the underlying thing about around in all my stories, the underlying current is still love.
Oh.
So that horror isn't an emotion. Horror isn't something that, and that's it. No, it's not like that. It's something that it's a feeling. So you can have a romance novel, you can have an action story, you can have fantasy, and you can still have an element of horror in it. You can read a national artist like Nick Joaquin and still have read stories that scare you. Or if not, because Nick Joaquin is the easiest because he has tropical gothic, so it has things like Mayday Eve in it, which is actually pretty scary. But authors like say N.B.M. Gonzalez, yes, some of his stories are also scary. It's more an emotion than a genre. That's what I like to tell people.
Now I'm thinking, I guess writing a story is like baking or, cooking, because you have different ingredients. Because, you mentioned that you also write for Sharing and Second Avenues, and I just pictured food also.
Yes.
So it's like you have different types of elements. You put it together, and this is your final product.
Yes.
So there also you've got spicy food, you've got sweet food. Now similar to writing, you have romance, fantasy, horror, combine that all in one.
Yes, and when you write, no matter what you write, the rules don't change. The rules for good writing is the same, no matter what genre or no matter what you're writing for.
There are rules.
There are rules, like for literary writing, for your basic grammatical rules, for example.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, and building of character, building of place, setting, plot. It's all the same. There are all the rules for all of this, which you can find, or it's taught in school. You can find on the internet, and it's all the same no matter what you want to write.
So it really doesn't change. You have the basic principles.
Yes.
Wow, and I guess it's really up to you, the author, to actually create your own world.
Yes.
And share that to everybody else.
Yes.
One thing before when I was, I just want to share this. When I was a kid, I hated reading.
Mhm.
Reading, I didn't like thick books.
Yeah.
I'd love to read short stories with photos. And I couldn't understand why there were people who could literally absorb a book this thick.
Yes.
And then later on, when I started working like after college, and you get stressed out in life, and when I picked up a book and I started reading, you zone out from the real world, and it's like you're watching a movie but better because you put in all the other details.
Yes.
of that particular book.
Yes.
And a while ago, when you were just telling me your story, I was like, oh no, can I read during this interview? Because I'm really interested to find out what happened. And it's 10 stories in a decade. So created in a decade. And that's really interesting to find out how it evolved. So this is your first book. Is there a second one?
There's
upcoming?
a second one coming out, but
In 10 years.
no, it's maybe next year. Maybe next
Okay.
year.
Around, it's also like a similar theme to it. You'll have different short stories as well.
I can't say it's a secret, but
Okay.
yes, it'll be short stories. It'll be horror. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow. I will guess you in October then.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll guess you in October, and then I think we can change the lighting. We'll not have lights in the studio, and what the viewers can expect are just voices. And probably they'll see white people walking around. They'll have our camera officers do something in the
Or
background.
if you want, I can come in costume.
Oh,
I will
right.
come in my full horror author.
You have
regalia.
a full
Actu-
horror author.
Actually, I don't, but I don't like dressing like I write horror.
Okay, but you told me a while ago you used to dress up as a goth.
I used to like black a lot. I used to wear black. I wore black all throughout college.
You're,
And
you're still having a black top.
yeah,
But it's just the top.
it's just the top.
But
And
before
it was all black.
before the whole goth trend came to be.
Yes.
So you started a trend.
Not really. I just I just wore what I felt.
And you're white. So it's like when you walk at night, does that freak out people? I mean like
No, but nobody spoke to me in college. I guess I understand why.
but hey, horror is horror. And
Yes.
again, for those of you, the viewers, if you know of friends who actually love horror stories, like me, I mean, we exist. We love to read horror stories, and yes, we do love watching horror films too. So again, it would be a great gift this Christmas season to give your horror loved ones, horrific loved ones. I don't want to say horrific loved ones, but you know your loved ones who love just the horror stories. Maybe be locally based or internationally based, because what we are also promoting is Gawang Pinoy. So we are proud to be Filipinos and also the work of Filipino artists, authors, writers, and everybody else in the profession. So I'd like to ask you though, because most of our viewers are interested to find out what your lessons are behind this, because it is like a 10-year journey for this one book. So what lessons could you actually share to all of us?
Well, for writing fiction,
Yes.
if you want to write, you have to read a lot. You have to like to read. Because I know there are a lot of writing nowadays has become glamorous. When I was growing up, you wanted to be a writer, your parents would be like, no, you're not going to earn money.
Right.
And until now, that's true. You can't earn money writing in the Philippines. But it has gotten a bit more prestigious than before. And so now we have a lot of young people who are eager to write. They want their names out there. They want their own books, but they don't read. And that's a big problem, because to write, to want someone to read your work, you have to love to read. You have to want to read. You have to
Other
have like
people's work.
yeah, because not only because it teaches you, even without you knowing it, it teaches you what and what not to do. It teaches you, if you read the right books, it'll teach you grammar, it'll teach you how to structure plots, it'll teach you how to develop characters, it'll teach you, you'll internalize the process. So that's very, very important. There is no good writer that isn't fond of reading.
Okay.
Uh,
So that's like rule number one.
That's
You've
rule
got to
number
read a lot and
Yes.
love it.
Even if you don't go to school, like say there are writers who've never gone to writing school, and they write brilliantly, but they read a lot. So this is very, very important.
Okay, read a lot. If for those of you who are considering a writing career, or if you'd like to publish a book or be an author of your own particular genre, number one is to read a lot. What else are your tips that you've garnered throughout the years already?
Well, you have to be persistent. You have to
Why persistent?
because you have to want to write. I admit, lately I haven't been writing very much. I blame the internet.
You blame the internet.
Because you have to writing is a lonely process. So you have to no, it's you yourself. You have no one to talk to.
But the computer,
But the computer or the
or
pen and
probably
paper.
the inspiring ghosts around you. So,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
but you don't get to see them. Okay.
Yes. And if you do, you get distracted, so it's no good.
Right. So
So
you have to be persistent.
you have to be persistent. You have to one persistent in writing. You have to carve out time to write to finish your story, and it's hard. It's not easy. The harder, I forget who said it, but the harder it is to write a story, the easier it is for the reader to read. So that story that's wonderful that you read in one go, that that gels so easily and that's very very that's wonderful. That took that took a lot of effort.
Wow.
The writer probably put a lot of sweat and blood into that,
Literally. And tears too.
and tears. Maybe not literal sweat, hopefully not literal blood, but maybe a lot of
Tears, right. Okay. So you've been what inspired you to write anyway? I mean, like you just mentioned, writing at least in the Philippines, it doesn't give you a regular cash or a huge amount of money. Why do you do it?
For the love of. I like to tell people I have no other skill set, but I guess it's for the love of writing because I tried being in corporate, tried TV. I love TV, but I can't do it for long. I guess writing was the one that fit me the most. So I write for magazines, write for newspapers, write for websites. I am lucky that I can shift very fast. I'm like a machine when I write nonfiction. Like when I write for work, I shift very fast, and I'm very, very lucky that way. I can change topics. So I can write about anything as long as it's not politics.
Okay.
I'm lucky that way. It's harder for fiction. It takes me a really, really long time for fiction, which is why my second collection of stories is taking so long. But um, what else did I learn? I also learned that aside from being persistent in writing, you have to be persistent in getting your work out there.
How do you get your work out there?
Well, you submit it to magazines, to websites that publish fiction. In the Philippines, there's Philippine Graphic, Philippines Free Press, there's Philippine Speculative Fiction if you're into genre fiction, Philippine Genre um, Stories also, which is, I think, online now. And then there are a bunch of other, internationally, there are a lot of websites, web magazines that publish fiction. So
Wow.
with the internet, it's become easy.